Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of the Top Builder webinar series. The topic is why CRM projects fail. My moderator today has a couple technical problems, so I'm going to go ahead and do the moderation today and the presentation. I think a lot of you have already attended our webinars, but just a little housekeeping real quick. We are using GoToWebinar. You're muted. But if you have questions or comments, please use the chat panel on the right-hand side of your screen, or typically it's on the right-hand side of your screen, and submit some questions to us, and which we'll handle at the end of the webinar. And if you need to, you can try to minimize that control panel, the GoToWebinar control panel, using the controls at the very top of the control panel. After the webinar, we will send out a follow-up to everybody that registered for the webinar. It'll include a link to the recording and a link to download these slides. And that's going to be pretty important for this particular topic, because these slides are really kind of almost a reference, I'll say, to the webinar, which is very useful to you, hopefully in your success with CRM. So with that said, I'll go ahead and get started here. We've got a large audience, which is awesome. And what we're going to try to do is, as we do every week, is we're going to try to keep this to about 35 to 40 minutes, including questions. Okay, so the regular content that we go through every week, and we try to stick to the same agenda, and that is we'll give you a quick update on the webinar series. We're going to talk to you guys a little bit about Top Builder. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but for you, for the attendees that don't know about us, we want to give you just a quick background. We're going to skip the poll question today because it's not really appropriate this week. We're going to talk about the topic itself and the background and why this topic is important to you. We'll go ahead and go through the topic, and we'll include some examples with a Q&A and a survey question at the very end when we end the webinar. Okay, so quick update on the webinar series. We had a couple gaps in the weeks. We've been doing this for the first 3 weeks of the month, every Thursday. We try to alternate between general Top Builder topics, educational topics, and feature spotlights, not in that order. And today this is going to be an educational topic, kind of a best practices topic. We're going to skip next Thursday due to the religious holiday for most people. And then we'll continue the webinar series on April the 8th, 2 weeks from today, with the topic of how effective funnel or lead management increases your sales and productivity. That's going to be a really good webinar with a lot of good examples to help you improve your lead management and your funnel management. Okay, so hopefully you all will attend, and it's always at the same time every Thursday, first 3 Thursdays of the month. Okay, so for those of you on the webinar that don't know about Top Builder, we started the company in 2008 from really experience in real estate, new home sales, and CRM, dating way back before we even started the company. And a lot of the experiences that we're going to share with you today come from experiences prior to Top Builder, but also directly related to new home sales or real estate through our Top Builder customers. We've got lots of examples, lots of case studies that we're going to share with you today, hopefully to help you become successful with your CRM. Now, I think you can read the rest of this, but we've got thousands of users and customers on Top Builder. And our office is in Houston, Texas, with a sales office in Atlanta, for those that are interested in that. We'll skip over this slide on how we help new home sales professionals. You'll get the presentation after this, so you can go through that if you want. And we're going to skip the poll question for this week. Okay, so diving right into the topic background, this is an educational or best practices topic, which we like to do at least one of these a month. We try to keep most of our webinars, if not all of them, educational, and this is a good example of that. Okay, so why do we care about this? Why is this important? Well, again, we've done thousands of these implementations, and the unfortunate thing is when a CRM project fails is, the obvious thing is the company that is trying to launch the program, they lose their investment and their time and their money in the project itself. I think that's pretty obvious. That goes away. You lose that investment. But the really sad part about it is, the bigger picture is that the company will not necessarily reach their goals, their company goals, their sales goals, and their marketing goals if the CRM project is not successful. Because that's why you have a CRM. And if you can't get it off the ground, if you can't continue running the project successfully, well, all those things start to fail. And then, the other benefits outside of the company sales and marketing goals are not achieved as well. You sign up for a CRM to reduce costs, shorten your sales cycle, improve sales, all those things, and those things won't happen. You may get some gains in your productivity and in your increased sales, but you're not going to get to where you really would be if your CRM project is successful. And one of the things we also see a lot of, because we have customers that, a lot of our customers have come from Salesforce or one of our competitors, is when those projects do fail, getting your team excited about another one, restarting, is difficult. So your team loses confidence, their morale goes down. You come to them with another project, say, oh, we're switching CRMs, or we're going to start a CRM project, and they, their motivation's not good because kind of lost them the first time. And candidly, Top Builder loses money. We don't actually, we make a big investment in our customers. In the first year, we're setting them up, training them, supporting them. We're backing up their data every night, running the software, running the data center, reaching out for, to help them, supporting them, training them. And we don't make money until you've been with us for a while, and typically a year. So we'll lose money as well. So we're invested in this, and we're invested in you guys as well. So that's why this is so important. And that's why we're having this topic. Now, again, the lessons learned that we're going to share with you today have come from literally thousands of implementations. We've done this a lot. Top Builder alone, we've done over 1,000 implementations. So we've got a lot of experience to share with you guys. We've used these techniques and these methods to save a lot of projects. I was the project manager for the CRM program at Hewlett Packard, and that project actually failed 5 times before I took it over. And I mentioned this on previous webinars, but it proves, we had Arthur Andersen in here. We had very high-end consulting companies in here with HP doing this project. They kept failing and failing and failing because they didn't follow best practices, or they didn't follow the techniques that we're talking about today. And another reason why this is important, we walk the talk. We do this internally. Everything that I'm going to talk to you about today, we do in Top Builder, in our own company, and with other companies that some of us may be involved in. And so today we're going to cover the symptoms of why these projects fail. What are the symptoms? And it's easy to talk about the causes, but there's real symptoms, and they're very separate. The symptoms are one thing, but what causes these things to happen is different. And we're going to talk about the symptoms, the causes, what it takes to succeed. We're going to provide you with some examples, And we know that not all of your companies are exactly the same. So, examples are kind of general, but only used for example purposes. And I think you'll get the idea. And we'll share some best practices with you. And also, just so you all know, the most important part about this is we're available either through our client services program or professional service engagement, which is a bigger project, to help you with these things. We do it every day. I did it as a consultant for many years before Top Builder, and we know how to do this. So if you need help, please reach out to us after the webinar, or anytime for that matter. Okay, so let's get into the meat of this. So why do CRM projects fail? This may seem a little silly, but we've seen this so many times. And the reason why, these are the top 3 reasons or the symptoms of why CRM projects fail, is first of all, they never really get started. And when I say really, and underline really, I mean they don't get started correctly. They get started, they dabble, but it's not really, the program is not really launched in earnest. And they never really get started properly. And then it fails. Okay. If they do get started, get going, the project loses momentum. We've seen this many, many, many times. And the project slows down, people lose interest, they don't stay on top of it, they stop using it, they stop entering the data correctly. It basically dies on the vine. It fizzles out, and then the project fails. Nobody's using it. They're spending money on it. They're not reaching their goals. It's horrible. So that's the other thing. And then the other reason why many of these projects fail, or the symptoms of it, is they do continue with the software and they do continue the program, but they're only doing the bare minimum, or they're only doing it because they're forced to do it. You have sales teams that have to enter their traffic, or you have sales teams that have to keep up with their statuses or enter their prospects, but they really don't care because they're being forced to do it. And then they're really just doing the minimum. And therefore, you're not really gaining the sales, the efficiency, you're not meeting your goals, you're not meeting your KPIs. Essentially, the project has failed. And you're spending money on it, and that doesn't help anybody. Okay, so those are the symptoms, and we can see it coming, by the way, and we monitor this. And we've got a program now in place to reach out to you if we see any of these symptoms, okay? And so Lana Bishop is on the call today, and she's in charge of our client services program, and she's going to be monitoring these symptoms for you all. Okay, so she's going to be looking, okay, are they not started yet? Are they not off the ground? Are they losing momentum and stopping using the software after they got started? And is the data not being entered the way it should? Are we not creating the leads, the follow-up plans, the quotes, the prices? Is it not working? And she will be monitoring that and reaching out as needed. Okay, so those are the symptoms. Let's jump into the causes. Okay. The cause on what causes these symptoms is, there's a lot of things. I'm just going to list them here. It's in priority in line with the importance of each. But here's the list. Okay, first of all, the benefits of the CRM, why you need a CRM in the first place, are not identified up front. Okay. Now, typically you'd want to do that before you get started. Understand exactly what you're trying to get out of the CRM and why before you choose a vendor, before you get started. But it's okay to go back and revisit that and then restart. But you got to understand, how does this benefit my company? Why do we need this thing? Why is it important? Not because you went to a training session at IBS and they told you need a CRM. That's not a good reason. You need it because you're trying to reach a certain company goal. You're trying to achieve certain benefits. Why do you need it? Understand that up front. Now, I've underlined the second bullet point because this is the one that is most often overlooked. Of all these thousands of projects we've done, this is the most common cause of CRM project failure. That the benefits to the individual users or the individual teams are not identified, documented, and communicated and quantified, okay, number two there, for the individual teams. And when I mean individual teams, I mean everybody that touches the software. The sales teams, the operational teams, the marketing teams, the managers, the owners, the investors, everybody involved need to understand why this helps you, how this helps you. Salespeople most of the time in our experiences, especially in new home sales, they're doing it because they have to, not because they see the benefits. They don't see how does this help me? And you really got to identify that up front. And it's going to be different for everybody, but man, I'll tell you, once they get it, they'll get the religion and they'll be using it every day automatically. So make sure you identify that and make sure you quantify those benefits. Okay, once we understand all that, we talk about these in some of our other webinars, document it. Got to document it and create some usage guidelines and standards around how we're going to use the software and achieve these benefits and achieve these goals. Now, another cause of failure is the implementation is not lined up with your goals, including the training, including the reports that you need to track your goals, track the benefits. And so the implementation is not set up in line with that. And then, it's kind of an awkward experience because if you're trying to achieve certain goals, if your team is trying to achieve certain benefits and it's not set up properly, well, that's a recipe for failure. And I'll just give you a quick example, is clearly defining your sales cycle and what each phase of that sales cycle means. A new online lead for your online sales counselor. What does that mean? Okay. A qualified online lead. Once you qualify that, what does that mean? What determines a qualified lead? And then once you get out of the online sales counselor process and you book on-site appointment, what are those sales statuses and what do they mean? And how do you qualify them? And if those aren't set up properly, because you should be tracking those in terms of, your conversions and your goals and how you're working your funnel, if you don't set up Top Builder properly and, communicate what those things mean, then you've got started on the wrong foot. Now, another cause of failure that we see is you start and you're too complicated up front. We see this all the time. So when you're setting up your CRM or Top Builder and you have your goals, you have your benefits, and certainly some of those goals is around follow-up. We want to be following up, this way after somebody, registers at a open house or on our website or walks into a model home. We want to follow up with them this way. But you overcomplicate that and it's not flexible. So you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Well, at the end of the day, it's overcomplicated and your team can't keep up with it. And so what happens? They just ignore it. And it doesn't gain traction. It's not used properly because they keep ignoring their alerts or their follow-up. And then you can't track it and it fails. Okay. Another very, very common cause of these failures is that the team ends up using it just to satisfy management. I've kind of talked about this already, but it doesn't become a productivity tool for them. In other words, back to the highlighted item under here, the benefits for the teams, they're not using it for their benefit. They're only using it to satisfy management or so-called big brother who's monitoring them. How much traffic have you had? Da, 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 da. They're just doing it because they have to. But again, these are very, very common reasons why these projects fail. Okay, continuing on, and I'll give you some tips and some examples in a second. We've got plenty of time here. Another very common reason, bullet 7 and 8 kind of go hand in hand, but management's not committed. And we work in other industries, but especially in new home sales. Okay. The teams or the sales teams or the realtors or the agents are telling the management teams what to do. And the management team is not committed. They're not holding the line and holding them accountable and communicating to them on how this will help them and why it's important. They're kind of being bullied by their sales team. We see this a lot. And management needs to stand up and be committed and say, this is required of you. If you don't do it, we've heard people, I've been on site training sessions with home builders, and they say, you're fired if you don't do this. Now, it shouldn't get to that point because, again, we should be communicating how it benefits them so that they use it anyways. But management needs to be clear. This is required of you. You need to do this. And management needs to be committed to that. It needs to be part of your culture. Okay? Another cause of failure is this thing, the project and the setup and everything is not monitored. And when I say everything, I mean the end-to-end implementation, the processes, the usage guidelines and standards on how you enter the data. It's not adjusted as you grow or change and you learn. So you'll learn, okay? And we learned, Top Builder learned over time how to manage our funnel, as an example, how to set up our sales cycle. Things happen. You may get a really, really successful online lead management program, online sales counselor program, which takes off. And so you've done a lot of digital marketing and online marketing, and all of a sudden you're getting a lot of leads coming in from your website, from Zillow, newhomesource.com, through the chat on your website, social media, And man, you need to make some adjustments because your setup and your usage guidelines and your usage standards are not keeping up with that. And you need to change them quickly. Okay. And so make sure that doesn't happen, because if you don't, the project will fail. Well, this is an interesting one, but we have seen this a lot. And picking a CRM that is not fit for your company or mainly for your industry is a recipe for disaster. I've done thousands of CRM projects, and we've done them with a kind of a generic out-of-the-box solution. Salesforce is a great product, but it's not designed specifically for a particular industry. They do have industry solutions, I believe. Back when I was doing it, it was Siebel and Salesforce, but you will implement it and you'll get some gains, but those gains do not continue as you would expect because they're not specific to your industry. So they don't have no idea what a community is or traffic is or online leads, conversion rates to on-site appointments. Salesforce doesn't know what that is. Zoho doesn't know what that is, not without customization. So make sure you get one that's designed for your company and industry. And then another thing is you're not taking advantage of the training and the support that's available. We have seen this ourselves, even our customers. We don't know that you have training every day. Well, we do, and you need to take advantage of it. So take advantage of the training and the support and the advice that's available, so you'll be successful. And most of it's free. We have free client services engagements to help you, and it's part of your subscription. Take advantage of that. And I've kind of alluded to this again already, but the CRM becomes a burden. It's not fun. It's not useful. It's just a pain in the rear, and then the project fails. So let's avoid these things. Okay. I guess probably from the causes and the symptoms that I've already discussed with you, the solution is pretty clear, but I have some things that weren't obvious. okay, from the prior slide. So let me go ahead and go through these. Again, before you even get started, if possible, try to understand and document and communicate why this is important to your company. How does it help your company? How does, and be clear, quantify it. Again, underlining the second bullet point, how does this benefit your teams or your groups? The sales teams, the marketing teams, the operational teams, document it, define it, document it, quantify it, and communicate it. Those are the most important things you can do right up front. What's also very important, especially around the quantification of these benefits and goals, is go ahead and develop some metrics and performance indicators that align with your company goals and your sales goals, and make sure that you're tracking those in the CRM and you're holding your team accountable for them. We've talked about that before in other webinars, but make sure you're doing that. Make sure it's documented, make sure it's communicated. Company goals, individual goals. And a lot of people find that marketing goals is a bit of a surprise when it comes to CRM because it's really for sales and lead management. But an example of a marketing goal, everybody talks about, traffic to your website. Everybody talks about SEO. Everybody talks about conversion from their website. Yeah, we get it. But that's not important unless that traffic or those conversions are actually valid leads or qualified leads. Because if they're not, the traffic you're getting and the conversion you're getting from your website is pure trash, okay, and wasting your time. So if it's not getting you qualified leads, which I recommend as a KPI for everybody, I don't care if you're a home builder, realtor, or you sell widgets, leads that are qualified is the most important thing you can do for your company, because then it's a matter of executing and converting them. But if you're not getting qualified leads, your marketing's failing. And also understanding where they're coming from too. Social media, SEO, pay-per-click, whatever. Partners, okay. All right, understand what data is important to your team and the processes. Keep it simple. So, there's a handful of items. We talk about 7 items, very simple items, and I'll give you an example in a minute. But and that's keeping it simple. These 7 items are important. These will help you. These will help the management. These will help at marketing. These will help the owners. 7 pieces of data we need on every prospect, and we need to keep it up to date. And then processes around follow up and what happens as you move them through the funnel. Make sure you understand that. Keep it simple at first. Take this information, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and create a usage guidelines and standards around all of them. And these guidelines need to be separated by teams. Your sales team's going to enter this data. Your marketing team's going to be focused on this. Operational data and management will focus on other pieces of information. Okay. On the last slide on the solution, and then we'll jump into examples, and we're pretty much on time here. Okay, one of the things that a lot of people do not do, which we strongly recommend, okay, is identifying a project champion. Somebody that can stand up and communicate why this is important, why we're doing this, what are the benefits, without even hesitating. That project champion should be sort of the owner of the project, or the project manager, or the project leader. It doesn't have to be a full-time job. It better not be a full-time job. But we do have some customers that have that as a full-time job. They're big enough where they have even more than one project champion, and that's their full-time job. But they're responsible for understanding the benefits, documenting the benefits, documenting the usage standards and guidelines, communicating that to everybody. Also reaching out to get training and support, kind of a train the trainer approach, They'll be very knowledgeable about the CRM or Top Builder. They'll be able to help people. They'll be able to answer questions. That person is very critical. Okay. People don't talk about this very much, but develop a project charter. A project charter, again, why we're doing this, why is it important, how it helps you, who is the project champion. This kind of one document to describe everything and make that available. Top Builder has something called a content center, and you can put your project charter right in the content center, and everybody has access to it right from within Top Builder. And then you can keep it up to date. You can revise it and update it as needed as things change. Okay, a project charter is very important. Why are we doing this in the first place? Okay, again, being very diligent about making adjustments as needed. And when you do, make sure you update your project charter and your usage standards. But you'll clearly know when it's time to make a change. If you're not meeting your goals or your KPIs, it could be that they're not reasonable. There's ways, and we can help you develop your KPIs. We can help you develop your goals. But if they're not reasonable and you're tracking this in your CRM and you're reviewing this every week, it's going to fall apart because nobody's going to care because you're not reaching them. But adjust them as needed if you don't feel like they're reasonable. Or as your team stops using the software. If you see your team's not using the software, you can run usage reports, activity reports. If usage is dropping off, it may be time to look at your processes, look at your usage standards. And always review all your goals and your benefits and recommunicate annually, once a year. We do this ourselves, okay? Now, you may not even change your KPIs or your goals. You may have the same goals as you had last year. KPIs may be the same, but even if that's the case, review those and recommunicate that with your team every year, okay? CRM, it needs to be part of your employee orientation. Everybody has training. Everybody goes through an HR process, an onboarding process. But as a new employee comes in, they need to review the usage standards and guidelines and go through training. Another thing, commit to the implementation. It doesn't need to take a lot of time, and we help you do most of the work. But make sure you're fully committed and you dedicate the time to the implementation. We can't set up Top Builder without your help. You have to tell us. Who are our users? What are our communities? What are our sales cycles? Do we have an online sales counselor? We need your help setting up the follow-up plans, the workflow. But if you're not committed to doing it, it's kind of a side project or you feel like it's a waste of time, it ain't going to be done right. Okay. And again, we kind of talked about this, but make sure CRM is mandatory and part of your culture. And then another thing that we see that really, really works. People don't talk about this, but it's kind of cool to develop a contest. Develop a contest. Everybody that exceeds their KPIs for this month or this quarter gets an Amazon gift card. Everybody loves Amazon gift cards. I do. I give them away all the time to employees, to partners. I give them away to people that have given us referrals. Develop a contest, give them an Amazon gift card if they win the contest or achieve their KPIs. It works and it makes things kind of fun, actually. And fun is definitely not a word that's used with CRM very often, okay? So make it fun, man. Make it fun, create a contest, offer Amazon gift cards. It will pay off in the long term. Okay, so take advantage of that and take advantage of the training and support that's available. All right, so I'm gonna jump into some examples and we're about to run out of time, so I'll go through some of these real quick, okay? And again, if you have questions, please go ahead and enter them in the question area. Okay, so examples of how you would go through and document why CRM is important to your company. Why do you need a CRM? Okay, start with the corporate goals, sales goals, marketing goals. Where do we want to go? Do we want to grow certain sales of our online business? We want to capture and convert a certain number of online leads. We want to sell 100 homes a year. It's hard for me to come up with specific examples because every home builder, every real estate company is a little different. But start with your corporate goals, sales, conversion rates. I want to shorten my sales life cycle, my sales cycle. I want to make sure I follow up with every online lead within 5 hours. I want to follow up with every on-site visit within 24 hours. Maybe this is a very common one, but I want to be able to have a 75% appointment set to an appointment kept conversion rate. And what that means is I booked an appointment for a community visit or a design center visit. Your online sales counselors booked this appointment, and I want a 75% rate on keeping those appointments, and I want to convert, let's say, 60% of them, because if I'm not converting 60% of my on-site appointments, that means I'm not qualifying them properly from the online management process. I'm just throwing out examples, but go ahead and think about that from a corporate perspective. Make sure you keep it simple. Make sure you keep it realistic. Make sure you quantify them. And obviously, we want to make sure we can measure all of these goals. All right. Now, this is the part where we're talking about the sales teams. Make sure you define the benefits and how the CRM helps your sales teams, and quantify that. And here's some examples. It's going to make you more efficient and save you time. Everybody says that. Everybody talks about that. Yeah. CRM saves you time, but you got to quantify it. How is it going to help you be more efficient? How is it going to help you keep up with your follow-up? How is it going to help you convert more leads, get more sales, save you time, save you headaches? All of those things need to be documented. You need to quantify that, and you need to communicate that to your sales team. I'm only going to cover sales and marketing right now because the owner benefits are pretty well documented. But one of the things, again, from a marketing standpoint, how does this help your marketing teams? Well, not knowing what is converting, and getting very granular really hurts, because you could be spending a lot of time on marketing, a lot of money on marketing. Pay-per-click is a huge example, great example of that. And you're wasting time. Your marketing team is spinning their wheels, and you don't know it. So if you're able to develop key performance indicators or metrics around marketing, I want to convert my pay-per-click, my SEO, my organic traffic, my social media traffic, chat, website converts directly from the website, and you're monitoring all the sources of your leads. How many qualified leads are you actually getting, and at what conversion rates? You'll know what's working and what's not. And then you'll also be able to go take that all the way through to the bottom of your funnel to understand which marketing programs are converting and which marketing programs are not. And when I mean converting, I don't mean converting from your website. I mean converting to a sale. And if you don't have a CRM, I don't know how you can possibly do that. Okay. Again, we'll go through this fairly quickly, but develop the measurement criteria and the KPIs. There's some examples in here. We'll send this out to you. You can review them. Here's some examples of some reports on how you're tracking these things and keeping up with them, including the trends. And again, make sure you understand what data you need to be successful and what processes you need to be successful. Document those in the guidelines and procedures. Focus on sales stages. Focus on the individual pieces of data. We call it the key data. These are the seven or so items I was referring to earlier. Make sure you define your sales cycles. Make sure you understand what they mean. Make sure they're set up properly. Understand each status, the disposition of your customer. Where are they? Where are the next steps? What's the history? Notes. Why? What objections or barriers they have to moving forward? Especially if they've received a quote from you, or if they've received pricing, if they've showed up to the model home, you should know what their hot buttons are. You should know what any objections they may have, pricing, community amenities, models that are available to them. Make sure you're documenting those objections so that you can overcome them during your next meeting or your next follow-up, and definitely keep up with the source of all your leads. How did they find out about you? Okay. Make sure you document the workflow, and especially how should the data be entered. How do I enter a lead? Community name, last name, first name. What type of lead is it, or what are they looking for? Are they looking for a completed spec? Is it a to be built? Is it a dirt sale? Are they looking at buying the model? Make sure you might want to enter that in the lead description. Again, the disposition of the lead itself. Make sure you document the date, what's going on with them. They're waiting on a promotion. They're waiting on relocation. They're waiting on to be financing, sell a home. Those are very common things. They have to sell their home. And then what is the next step? Okay, make sure you keep up with your notes. Don't let this slip. And then, make sure everybody has everything current in Top Builder by Sunday. So a lot of our reports, we can run weekly traffic reports, weekly sales cycle reports. The one that I have up here is a weekly sales cycle trend. You're looking at your leads, your qualified leads, your B-backs, your contracts weekly. So make sure everybody gets their data entered in and is available before the day starts on Monday. And again, keep it simple. We talk about communicating. I can't emphasize that more. Make sure you communicate all this stuff. Make sure it's documented as well. And then, of course, monitoring and tracking using the reports. Very important. All right. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I went over a little bit. It was a little bit over 35 minutes. So I apologize for that. But let's see if we have questions. Okay. So do you have more examples of a project charter or examples of the usage standards and guidelines? Yes, we do. We have documents that we can share with you that are generic on everything from the guidelines, the metrics, the goals, and the project charters that we can share with you. We will email you after this webinar is over. We're going to get an email out to you all tomorrow, and you can reply to that email. It will come from me, and you're welcome to reply to that email and ask me to provide that information. I will certainly do that. And then if anybody wants to reach out to us and set up a meeting to discuss these best practices, to take this one step further, we'll certainly do that. Okay, so we'll wrap this up, and we appreciate everything, and look forward to the follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the recording and a link to the slides, and then you can reply to that. And if you need more help or have any questions, thanks a bunch.